The Human Security Officer, Part 49. Once upon a time in a small town nestled between rolling hills and lush forests, two weary travelers found themselves in a most unexpected and welcoming place. Gareth and Penn, having traversed a perilous journey, arrived in this quaint village, their bodies and spirits battered from the trials they had faced. The townsfolk greeted them with open arms, a warmth that enveloped them like a soft blanket on a cold night. It was a stark contrast to the harshness they had endured. The townspeople, seeing their exhaustion and dirt-streaked faces, offered them showers, a simple yet profound gesture that spoke volumes about their kindness. Gareth, feeling particularly awkward about the idea of a shower, hesitated. He was a creature of habit and felt out of place amidst the warmth and familiarity of these generous strangers. However, he was quickly relieved when Deeg, his companion, took a short trip to their ship to retrieve some supplies. He returned with a soothing bath treatment, helping Gareth prepare a bath that would wash away the grime and fatigue of their journey. As he sank into the tub, the water enveloped him like a gentle embrace. It wasn't a luxurious spa like those in his homeland, but at that moment, it was exactly what he needed. He felt the heat of the water seep into his bones, melting away the tension that had built up over the months. It was a small reprieve, but it meant everything. He had fibbed to Penn about his state. He wasn't starving, not yet, but the lack of proper food had begun to take its toll. The fact that he had been carried for so long had allowed him to conserve energy, but he knew he couldn't rely on that forever. As he looked down at his shell, his heart sank a little. The vibrant colors had dulled, a reflection of his emotional state. Stress and the struggle for survival had left their marks on him. He traced his fingers along the surface, feeling the cracks and imperfections. One particular crack, made by Penn when she had pulled him to safety from a turret, stood out. It was a reminder of their close call and the bond that had formed between them through their shared experiences. He knew it would take time to heal, but it was a comfort to know that he had made it through, and she had been there with him. Lost in thought, Gareth allowed himself to drift under the warm water, letting his worries float away for a while. But then, a loud thump from outside the tub pulled him back to reality. He peeked over the edge and was met with the curious gaze of a small boy, a human child who seemed both intrigued and bewildered by the sight before him. "MMB," the boy mumbled, his small voice barely rising above the sound of running water. "What was that?" Gareth asked, trying to suppress a chuckle at the boy's bashfulness. The boy shrank back slightly but mustered the courage to speak. You're weird looking." Gareth laughed, the sound echoing in the tiled washroom. "You're the weird-looking one," he shot back playfully, unable to resist the banter. The boy's brow furrowed, a clear reflection of his feelings. It was much easier to read him than Penn, who often kept her emotions hidden. "Nah," the boy protested. "Yaha," Gareth mimicked the child, causing the boy to giggle nervously. "No, you don't look like anyone else here," the boy insisted, a hint of defiance in his tone. "Well, I'm not from here, am I? I'm from a place where everyone looks like me, and nobody looks like you." Gareth's tone was light, but the boy seemed to ponder the statement seriously. "How many people?" the boy asked, tilting his head in confusion. Gareth tilted his own head, surprised by the question. "Lots? Trillions. Is that more than here?" The boy's eyes widened in disbelief, and Gareth could see the gears turning in his mind. "Definitely," Gareth assured him. "Darn," the boy lightly tapped the doorframe with his foot, clearly troubled by the thought. "You could go see them," Gareth offered, trying to cheer him up. "Really?" The boy's eyes sparkled with excitement at the prospect. "Oh, definitely. There's a ton to see. More places out there than trees in that forest outside," Gareth added enthusiastically. The boy didn't fully understand what trillions meant, but the comparison made sense to him. "Whoa," he said, his mouth forming a small O in wonder. But then a frown creased his face. "But I like it here though. I have friends here. So when you miss them, just come on back. No reason you can't enjoy both, right?" Gareth offered, hoping to show the boy that the world was a vast and wondrous place. The boy's expression shifted, a joyous revelation washing over him. "I'd love that, I think." "I think you would too," Gareth replied with a chuckle. "You may be weird, but you're pretty cool. My name's Cameron, by the way. Pleasure to meet you, Cameron. I'm Gareth. I think you're weird and cool too. Gareth felt a warmth spread through him, a connection forming in this unlikely conversation. Cameron giggled, his earlier shyness forgotten. He sprinted away, then stopped suddenly to turn back, closing the door gently before darting off again. Gareth sank back into the tub, a smile lingering on his lips, feeling lighter than he had in a long time. Meanwhile, Pen stepped under the shower head, tilting her face upward. The steaming hot water cascaded over her, washing away the stress and grime of the past few days. After 2 days of hard marching, sleeping on the dirt, and only washing off in a river, this proper shower felt divine. It reminded her of the bliss of washing off after a particularly arduous drop, a satisfying and cleansing experience that she relished. With soap and warm water at her disposal, she turned the heat up as high as it could go, propping herself against the shower wall. The water melted through the tension in her muscles, carrying away the fatigue that had settled deep within her. Ah! Perfect! As she relished the moment, something tickled her neck, prompting her to bring her right hand up. She pulled a long strand of hair away, realizing with surprise that it had grown longer. It had been so long since she had allowed her hair to grow out beyond a few inches, and this strand felt almost alien in her hand. Bringing both hands up, she raked them through her newfound length, contemplating whether she should start wearing it up if she didn't want to cut it. But part of her didn't want to cut it. Why should she? After an indulgent time in the hot shower, Pen finally turned the water off and stepped out. The bathroom was heavy with steam, but she noticed towels and clothes neatly set by the sink. As she dried herself, she examined the clothing, a simple hand-woven dress, loose cut and floor length. The dress was dyed olive green and parchment white, adorned with a delicate leaf-like pattern embroidered around the wrists and neckline. It wasn't her usual attire, but it was a kind gesture that spoke volumes about the town's hospitality. The dress looked little worn and well taken care of, hinting that it meant a lot to the person who had donated it. Dressed, Pen looked in the mirror only to find it utterly fogged up. A light knock came from the other side of the door, breaking her reverie. "Are you all right, miss?" a woman's voice asked. "Yeah," Pen faltered, feeling a bit uncertain. "Oh, does the dress not fit? Or would you prefer something else?" the woman continued. No, it fits fine," Pen replied, realizing that it did reach the floor, though perhaps not as much as it was intended to. "How about you tell me how I look?" Pen opened the door, allowing steam to roll out as she stepped into the room with the young woman. The stranger looked like the older lady whose house it was, Pen guessed, perhaps a daughter. "Oh my, I think you look quite nice. Olive is definitely one of your colors." "Here." The girl fumbled somewhat but managed to guide Pen to a tall mirror in the far corner of the room. It was certainly a look, not one she was used to, but the dress fit well enough. Still, Pen couldn't shake the feeling that it sat oddly on her. It wasn't tight or revealing, just a gentler-looking piece of clothing on a less than gently built frame. It was clear the dress wasn't made to be worn by someone with her more muscular body. "Oh, here, miss," the young woman said, handing her a hair tie but pulling back. "Or if you want, I could help you put it up. It's at that weird point where it's not long enough to, but too long to, it can be difficult. If you want, I can." "I appreciate it, but I'll be fine." "I think I'll leave it down for now," Pen replied, determined to manage on her own. "Right. Well, here. Just in case you want to," the girl insisted, offering the hair tie once more. This time Pen took it and stowed it around her wrist. "Is Gareth?" the girl asked, tilting her head. "Oh yes, your friend is across the street at the Pattersons'. I can bring you over if you like," she offered, her eyes bright with eagerness. "Lead the way," Pen replied, feeling grateful for the assistance. "Of course," the girl said, stepping out of the house and across the street with Pen following closely behind. As they walked, Pen noticed a couple putting up woven cloth streamers across the road. They anchored them in trees, some parallel and others crossing, a joyful display that added a festive air to the town. When they reached the front porch of the Pattersons' house, the girl waved to an older gentleman in a rocking chair. "Evening, Mr. Patterson. This is Penelope. She was just calling on her friend," the girl said cheerfully. "Evening, dear." "Evening, miss. Your friend hasn't come out yet, but you can head on up. To the left at the top, far end door," he instructed, his voice warm. "Thanks," Penn replied, grateful for the directions. As she climbed the stairs just inside the door to the house, Mr. Patterson raised a hand to stop her momentarily. "Thank you, miss," he said, emphasizing the you in a way that was both charming and awkward. He looked at her as others had before, like she was an enigma wrapped in a riddle. Despite the awkwardness of it all, Penn smiled and nodded before she pushed past him. At least he had the good sense not to salute. Climbing the stairs, Penn could hear the man ask the girl a question, though she couldn't make out the words. The warm tone of the girl's reply suggested it was a positive answer. Turning at the top of the stairs, Penn walked to the end of the hall and knocked on the door. "You still soaking?" she called out to Gareth, a teasing lilt in her voice. "Just suiting up." "I'll be out in a minute," Gareth replied, his voice muffled through the door. "I'm in, huh?" Penn thought, amused. She leaned against the wall, tapping her foot lightly as she waited. In that moment of quiet, she allowed herself to reflect on the journey that had brought them to this point. From the moment they had met, Gareth had been a source of strength and companionship. The battles they had fought, the challenges they had faced, and the laughter they had shared forged an unbreakable bond between them. Penn felt an unfamiliar flutter of warmth at the thought of Gareth, something deeper than friendship. She shook her head, dismissing the thought for now. It was easy to get lost in fantasies, especially after such an exhausting journey. They had both been through so much, and now was a time for healing, not for complicating things with unspoken feelings. After a few more minutes, the door finally creaked open, and Gareth appeared, looking fresh and revitalized. He was dressed in clean clothes that were more suitable for the warmth of the town. A smile spread across his face as he saw her, the weariness in his eyes replaced with a glint of joy. "Penn! You look amazing," he exclaimed, genuinely taken aback by her appearance. "Thanks." "You don't look half bad yourself," she replied, matching his smile. Gareth stepped aside, gesturing for her to enter. "Come on in. You won't believe what I found out while soaking." "Tell me," she said, curiosity piqued as she stepped into the cozy living room. Gareth settled into a chair and leaned forward, excitement bubbling in his voice. "The people here are planning a celebration tonight. It's some sort of harvest festival. They want us to join in. It'll be a great way to unwind after everything we've been through." "Really? That sounds wonderful." Penn felt her heart lift at the thought. "What do you think it'll be like?" "From what I gathered, there'll be food, music, dancing, and games. A chance for everyone to come together and celebrate the bounty of the land." "It sounds like just what we need." Penn nodded, her thoughts racing with possibilities. "I can't wait. It'll be a chance for us to connect with the townsfolk and enjoy a moment of peace." "Exactly," Gareth replied, his enthusiasm infectious. "And I heard they might even have a storytelling session. You know how much I love those." Penn chuckled, imagining Gareth sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes wide with wonder as he absorbed tales from the locals. "You? In a storytelling session? Sounds like a sight to behold." As they laughed, a sense of camaraderie settled around them, warming the air like the sun peeking through clouds. For the first time in a long while, they felt like they could let go of the past, even if just for a night. "Let's get ready then," Gareth suggested, rising from his chair. "We have to make the most of this festival." Penn agreed, and together they began to prepare for the evening ahead. They dressed in their best clothes, Gareth in a simple tunic and trousers, while Penn slipped into the hand-woven dress she had been given. As she looked at herself in the mirror, she felt a rush of confidence. The dress may not have been her usual style, but it reflected the kindness of the townsfolk, and in that, she felt a sense of belonging. Once they were ready, Gareth offered his arm to Penn, and they stepped out into the vibrant streets filled with laughter, chatter, and the tantalizing aroma of food wafting through the air. Lanterns swayed gently in the trees, casting a warm glow over the gathering crowd. As they made their way through the town, Penn couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the beauty of the moment. Children ran around, their laughter ringing like music, while adults set up booths adorned with colorful fabrics and handmade crafts. The whole scene felt alive, buzzing with energy and anticipation. Gareth and Penn exchanged glances, both feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness as they stepped deeper into the heart of the celebration. A lively tune began to play, drawing people to the dance floor set up in the center of the square. "Come on! Let's dance!" Gareth exclaimed, pulling Penn toward the gathering crowd. "Wait! I don't know how," she protested, laughter bubbling up in her throat. "Neither do I." "But that's the fun of it," he replied, his infectious enthusiasm pulling her along. As they joined the throng of people moving to the music, Penn felt her earlier reservations melt away. She let the rhythm take over, laughter escaping her lips as she danced with Gareth, his joy contagious. The evening was filled with joy, the music ringing in their ears, the warmth of companionship wrapping around them. They spun and twirled, losing themselves in the moment, forgetting the weight of their past struggles. "See? This is what it's all about," Gareth shouted over the music, his face lit up with a genuine smile. "I'm starting to agree," Penn shouted back, her heart racing as they danced. As the night wore on, they found themselves sitting on the grass, watching as others danced and celebrated around them. The vibrant energy of the festival was a welcome reprieve, allowing them both to breathe, to laugh, and to simply be. "It's so beautiful here," Penn said, looking around at the flickering lights and smiling faces. "Yeah, it really is," Gareth replied, his gaze drifting over the crowd. "I didn't think we'd find a place like this after everything." Penn nodded, a sense of gratitude washing over her. "It's a reminder that there's still goodness in the world, even after everything we've been through." Gareth turned to her, his expression serious. "I'm really glad we're together through all this. I don't think I could have made it without you by my side." Her heart swelled at his words, the sincerity evident in his voice. "I feel the same way. We make a good team, don't we?" "Absolutely. And I think we're just getting started," he replied, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. As the night unfolded, they shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. The festival continued to swirl around them, a celebration of life, resilience, and the connections that formed in unexpected places. As the stars twinkled overhead, Penn felt a sense of peace settle within her. In this moment, surrounded by warmth and laughter, she felt ready to embrace whatever came next. The journey ahead would be uncertain, but together they could face anything. In the midst of the festivities, Gareth reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. The simple gesture sent a spark of warmth through her, a reminder of their connection. "Let's make a pact," he said suddenly, his eyes serious. "No matter where this journey takes us, we stick together, through thick and thin." Penn met his gaze, her heart racing. "Deal. Together, no matter what." As they sealed their promise with a smile, the night continued to unfold, vibrant and alive. They danced, laughed, and enjoyed the company of their newfound friends, feeling the weight of their past lift, if only for a moment. Hours passed, and as the moon rose high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the town, Gareth and Penn found themselves sitting on a bench, watching the stars twinkle above them. "Do you ever wonder what's out there?" Gareth mused, gesturing toward the vast expanse of the night sky. "Every day," Penn admitted, her thoughts drifting to the endless possibilities that lay ahead. "But I also know that wherever we go, it's the people we meet that make the journey worthwhile." Gareth nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That's true. It's the connections we form that give life its meaning." They sat in companionable silence for a while, the music fading into the background as they gazed at the stars above. Each twinkle felt like a promise, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was always light to be found. "Let's make a wish," Gareth said suddenly, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "A wish?" Penn raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Yeah. You know, like the stories say. When you see a shooting star, you make a wish," he explained, gesturing dramatically. "All right, I'm game. What do we wish for?" Penn asked, laughing. "I wish for more nights like this," he declared, his voice earnest. "Simple enough. I wish for our journey to be filled with adventures and good company," she added, her heart swelling with hope. "Agreed," Gareth said, a broad smile spreading across his face. As they sat together under the stars, the weight of their past slowly faded into the background. In that moment, they felt a deep sense of connection, a bond forged through trials and triumphs. Together, they were ready to face whatever lay ahead, and they knew that no matter the challenges they faced, they would always find their way back to each other. And so, the festival continued to swirl around them, the music ringing in their ears, laughter echoing in the air, and the promise of new beginnings shining brightly in their hearts. With hands intertwined, they were ready to embrace the journey that lay ahead, confident that together, they could conquer anything. The night wore on, filled with joy and celebration. They danced, sang, and laughed with the townsfolk, their spirits lifted higher than they had thought possible. As the stars twinkled above, they found themselves lost in the moment, forgetting the weight of their past and savoring the beauty of the present. Hours later, as the festival began to wind down and the last few songs played softly in the background, Gareth and Penn found themselves sitting side by side on the grass, their bodies pleasantly tired from the night's festivities. "Do you think we'll remember this night?" Penn asked, gazing at the glowing lanterns swaying gently in the night breeze. "Absolutely," Gareth replied, his voice warm. "This is a night to remember. It's one of those moments that will stick with us no matter where we go." Penn smiled, feeling a sense of comfort wash over her. "You're right. No matter what happens next, this will always be a part of us." As they sat in companionable silence, a shooting star streaked across the night sky, its brilliance illuminating the darkness for just a moment. "Look!" Penn exclaimed, pointing upward. Gareth turned his gaze toward the sky, eyes widening in delight. "Make a wish," he urged, excitement palpable in his voice. "I already did," Penn said, her heart racing. "Did you share it with me?" Gareth asked, nudging her gently. "No," she admitted, a teasing smile playing on her lips. "But now that you mention it, I think it was for something more personal." "Something personal?" he echoed, intrigued. "Yes. I wished for this feeling." This moment, she confessed, her cheeks flushing slightly. Gareth's expression softened, and he nodded thoughtfully. "That's a good wish. What did you wish for?" Penn asked, turning to face him, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "I wished for more adventures with you," he said, his tone earnest. Penn felt her heart flutter at his words, a warmth spreading through her. "Well, then I think we're both in luck." "Definitely," Gareth replied, a grin stretching across his face. With that, they settled back against the grass, the warmth of the night enveloping them. As they gazed up at the stars, the world around them faded into the background. It was just the two of them, bound by shared dreams, laughter, and the promise of tomorrow. In that moment, Penn knew that no matter what lay ahead, they would face it together, with unwavering support and a bond that would carry them through anything. And as they whispered their hopes and dreams into the night, the universe listened, ready to weave their wishes into the fabric of their story. The festival continued to wind down, but the night was still young, and Penn and Gareth were ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited them. They could feel the pull of the world beyond the town, calling to them with the promise of new experiences and challenges. As the last notes of music faded into the cool night air, they rose from the grass and began to walk through the town, hand in hand, ready to explore the wonders that lay ahead. With each step, they felt a renewed sense of purpose, an understanding that their journey was just beginning. The trials they had faced had only strengthened their bond, and now they stood together, ready to forge their path in the world. They laughed and shared stories as they walked, the weight of their past lifting with every step they took. The glow of the lanterns illuminated their path, guiding them through the heart of the village. As they passed by a small gathering of townsfolk, Penn noticed an older woman dancing with a group of children. The woman's laughter rang out like music, and for a moment, Penn felt a pang of longing for the carefree joy of childhood. "Remember when we were young and thought we could do anything?" she asked, her voice wistful. Gareth smiled knowingly. "Yeah, I remember those days. I think we still can." With that thought in mind, they joined the group, swaying to the music and laughing with the children. It felt liberating to let go of their worries and embrace the simple joy of the moment. As the night continued, they found themselves drawn to a small bonfire, where a few locals were gathered around, sharing stories and roasting marshmallows. "Let's join them." Gareth suggested, excitement bubbling within him. They approached the fire, the warmth radiating from the flames inviting them closer. As they settled onto a log beside the fire, Penn felt a sense of belonging wash over her. This was what she had yearned for, a place where they could truly be themselves. The townsfolk welcomed them with open arms, sharing tales of the town's history and their own experiences. Gareth listened intently, hanging on every word, while Penn found herself captivated by the warmth of the fire and the kindness of the people around her. As the night wore on, Penn felt a deep sense of gratitude for the chance encounter that had led them to this moment. The challenges they had faced had brought them here, to a place filled with laughter, joy, and connection. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Gareth's voice broke through her thoughts. "Sure, what's on your mind?" Penn replied, turning to face him. "If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?" he asked, his expression curious. Penn pondered the question for a moment. "That's a tough one. I've always wanted to explore the mountains. There's something magical about being surrounded by nature." Gareth nodded, clearly impressed by her answer. "That sounds incredible. I think I want to visit the coast. I love the ocean and the feeling of being by the water." "Then we should do both," Penn suggested, her heart racing at the thought of their potential adventures. "Mountains and the coast. We could make it a journey." "Now that's an idea I can get behind," Gareth replied, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I can already imagine the stories we'd have to tell afterward." Their conversation flowed easily, weaving dreams and aspirations into the night air as they shared their visions for the future. "I think it's important to chase those dreams," Penn said, her voice filled with conviction. "Life is too short not to go after what we truly want." "Absolutely," Gareth agreed. "And we have the chance to create our own adventures, just like we did here." As the fire crackled beside them, they exchanged glances, a shared understanding passing between them. They were in this together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, and together they would create the life they dreamed of. As the night began to wane, Penn felt a sense of peace settle within her. She looked around at the smiling faces of the townsfolk, the flickering flames, and the starlit sky above them. In that moment, she knew that they had found something special here, a sense of home, of belonging, and of adventure. Gareth turned to her, a soft smile playing on his lips. "Ready for the next chapter?" Penn nodded, her heart racing with anticipation. "Always." And with that, they stood up, hand in hand, ready to embrace the night, the future, and all the adventures that awaited them. Together, they would face whatever came their way, confident in the bond they had formed and the memories they had yet to create. As they made their way back into the heart of the celebration, laughter filled the air, and the music danced around them. The world was full of possibilities, and they were ready to seize them. With each step they took, the promise of tomorrow awaited them, and together, they would weave their stories into the tapestry of life, filled with joy, laughter, and the magic of the unknown. And so, the night continued, filled with laughter, love, and the thrill of adventure. Penn and Gareth were ready to embrace the journey ahead, knowing that they would face it all side by side, as partners and friends, creating a beautiful story that would carry them through the years to come. As they danced under the stars, their hearts full of dreams and their spirits soaring high, they knew they had found something truly special, a bond that would last a lifetime, forged in the fires of friendship and adventure. With laughter echoing in the night air, they stepped into the future together, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them, hand in hand, heart to heart, and filled with the hope of 1,000 new beginnings.